Hi, I am Elizabeth Huber, also known as Liz, and I am Sam's sister, actually. And I'm currently a student at Belmont University, and I'm studying global leadership studies and teaching English as a second language. And so Sam gave me the opportunity to be able to talk on here, and I am by no means any type of a speaker or any type of professional. So first of all, take everything I say with a grain of salt. And second of all, know that I am in no position to be giving any type of advice, honestly, because I am not a speaker. So if you're like, that doesn't make any sense, I'm probably thinking that too. But anyway, so today what I just kind of wanted to talk about was my own experience with mental health struggles, because I feel like that's something that a lot of times there's a stigma around, or it's something that's really hard to talk about in relation with Christianity. So I just wanted to talk about that. I went through a really tough time in my life around junior year of high school, and it was just a time when I was really far from God, but I was also just trying to find myself in the process, but in all the wrong things. And so it just led to me going down a lot of paths that looking back on were just to please others, and it was for no other reason than that. And so it was just a tough time in my life, honestly. And I made decisions that I regret now. And I guess the reason I say all that is because it left me with a lot of guilt afterwards. And the guilt turned into anxiety, because I was just constantly anxious. What if I mess up again? What if everyone hates me? What if no one will forgive me? These were just the thoughts that were constantly going through my head. And so it started as just some anxious thoughts here and there, but then it really turned into consistent anxiety, medically diagnosed anxiety. So I went to the doctor and they were like, you have anxiety. And I was like, yay, great. And so I had experiences with this in the past where I've always been anxious about things. That's not a new concept to me. But having the term be diagnosed to me was something that was new, and I felt I don't even know how to explain it, but I felt I did not like that, because I felt oh wow, now are people going to be looking down on me? There's just kind of a stigma around it, I feel sometimes in society. And it's also easy to swing the other way and be too talking too much about that, to the point where the people that are struggling can't even actually get help. But anyway, so yeah, I started taking medication for it, and it helped. But what I had to realize is that a lot of the anxiety that I was feeling was ultimately caused by guilt. And as much as the doctors or the medicine can do, that was also something that I had to deal with my relationship with God, because that is where a lot of freedom from guilt typically comes from, is I can't really get that from anything in the world. I have to seek freedom from that, freedom from sin from God. And that was just a point that I had to get to last year, because I understand if any of you have ever struggled with guilt from your past, or guilt from decisions you've made, it's really easy to get caught up in thinking that there's no freedom from that, I'm gonna be dealing with this forever. But really, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. And a word that I always use to remind myself of this freedom, anytime I start to wander, anytime I start to question, and it's okay to have doubt, it's okay to question. That's another thing I've struggled with in my life too, because sometimes it's hard. For me, it's I'm scared to admit to people when I'm questioning or doubting any part of my faith, because if someone else isn't going through that, I'm just scared I'm going to face judgment. And that's similar to how I felt with the anxiety thing, because what I hate more than anything, it's just my personality type, which this isn't really a good thing, but I hate when I tell people I'm dealing with anxiety, and I get the response of oh, you're struggling with anxiety, it's okay, it'll be okay. That does not help me whatsoever. And I just that's why I didn't want to tell people about it, because I did not want that type of reaction, or oh, here, you can do this to help. So that was just something I had to figure out, not everyone is like that, first of all. And second of all, they're genuinely trying to help. So that was something I just had to deal with. But that was like a side road that had nothing to do with what I was saying. But I ultimately, this concept of like Jubilee and freedom in Christ is something that I don't think I can ever forget about, no matter what I go through, because it's such a big part of my story. So there's like the year of Jubilee in the Bible. I have done a little research on it. If you've done more, you might know more than me. But as far as I understand, like every 50 years, there's the year of Jubilee. And that's basically the year where like everything is forgiven. It's like a year of celebration, a year of freedom. Like everyone's free. Everyone is no longer held in captivity. It's literally just like a huge freedom celebration. And obviously that had a different context in like the Old Testament, because it was talking about like, I'm sure it was talking about like slavery and like physical captivity, but it also like parallels to the New Testament, where it's talking about like spiritual freedom and how we can like feel that. And so that's just like such a really cool concept to me, because like before I really surrendered my past and like the guilt that I was feeling to God, I was in that spiritual captivity of guilt in a sense, because I wasn't surrendering. And so that's like something that I really just like have learned over the past few years, or I guess like the past 3 years really. I've just learned like what it really means to surrender and just, you know, to really experience like the joy of the Lord and the freedom of the Lord. So to continue on my little Jubilee talk, so yes, there's also a song that Maverick City wrote about the year of Jubilee, and the song is called Jubilee. And so it just talks about like, can you hear it? Can you feel it? Like, this is Jubilee. This is Jubilee. I'm trying to like run through the lyrics. I should have like written them down, where it's like, can you hear it? Yeah, well, okay. The point is, it literally quotes the lyrics from the Bible, and it talks about like really what this concept of Jubilee is. And the whole song is kind of like a celebration. So you're like, why does that matter in relation to me? Well, for my personal story, so when that whole thing went down, when I was really having a rough time in my past, made decisions I regret, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that happened. Then developed my really bad anxiety for that time afterwards. And then it slowly started to get better as I slowly started to surrender more and more of that and really start just resting in the joy of the Lord. So then 1 year later, I felt like I was on the other side of that, like hypothetically, I was on the other side of that. And so I went to church one day, just like a normal Sunday, and it was exactly 1 year from the day when I felt like had been my lowest point a year ago. And on this day, exactly 1 year later, they played Jubilee by Maverick City Music in church. And it was the first time that they'd ever played that song. And I was just standing there, like, with the lyrics and, like, go listen to the song. That's just what I'm going to say. I'm trying to quote them, and my mind is blanking. But the song is incredible. And so I was just literally just standing there, like, understanding those lyrics on such a new level, because I was living in this celebration that I've been rescued from my past. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then also, I was like, I've just got to look more into this. I find this so interesting. So I started doing some research on the year of Jubilee. And when does it start? On July 10th. Guess what? My birthday is July 10th. So I know you're like, that's like kind of silly, but like, it was just a lot, I was like, the fact that it was exactly 1 year from when I was at my lowest point, and then it's the year, like, technically speaking, starts on my birthday. And I was like, that's just incredible. Like, I felt like God was really just trying to remind me that, like, he's got it. And, like, the joy of the Lord alone is, like, worth living for. So now I have this lovely Jubilee tattoo. You can't really see it because the camera is far away, but yes, it's the Hebrew word for Jubilee. And I really have that. It's like a reminder to myself, and I use it to remind myself in order to live that out, to tell others that there is freedom in the joy of the Lord, and that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And no matter what you go through, no matter what you've done in your past, like, as much as it might not feel like it right now, there is freedom in that. And I genuinely believe that freedom can't come from anything but God. Like, you can spend your entire life doing things, living what like might be like a good life, trying to, erase your past, but it'll never be enough. Like you'll always be feeling some type of like emptiness or maybe even like leftover guilt. But like the freedom that God offers it's really unexplainable. Yeah. So I would just encourage you, like, reach out to me, reach out to Sam, reach out to anyone. Like if you're feeling this, like I remember so vividly what those times were like in my life, and I wish that I had known then what I understand now about the freedom of God. And I would just encourage you to really like seek that and like lean into him during this time. And also I would encourage you to go listen to Jubilee or really any of Maverick City's songs, because you will not regret it. So yeah, that's just a little bit of my story. Obviously it continues every day. I am obviously still going through things right now that are like tough, and I have struggles all the time. I am by no means like any better than I was then, because we all mess up every day. But I feel like I've just learned a lot about God and about myself since then. And yeah, so I would just say really just like reach out to someone, lean into God, and just live in the spirit of freedom and in the joy of the Lord. So yeah, I'm Elizabeth Huber, and that is all. Thank you guys for listening.